How to put on aesthetic muscle as a skinny guy. I know a lot of you guys are dealing with this problem and this issue that you want to put on muscle, you want to put on weight, you want to bulk up, but you want to do it so you're still aesthetic, so you're still lean and you're still shredded. This was an issue and a problem I went through for the past 4 years. In high school, I was super skinny, super scrawny. I was a soy boy. And for 4 years, I trained, I went super hard in the gym. And in the last 6 months, I figured out the three pillars to be able to put on lean aesthetic muscle very, very quickly. So you can skip the 4 year process that I did and making mistakes and doing the wrong things and do the right things right away so you can see results right away. One thing I will say, I always went hard in the gym. I was going 6, 7 days a week, but once I started actually doing the right things, I saw the progress and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so these three pillars right here, diet, training, lifestyle, are going to help you also see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I know you want to have that lean, shredded look, right? But to get to that point and to get to that aesthetic muscle, you have to bulk, right? That is the first step. And the very first step before bulking is to figure out what your TDEE is. Okay, so your total daily energy expenditure. Okay, find out your TDEE. Okay, so calories are in the form as energy, and you exert a certain amount of energy every single day in the form of calories. So what you are burning is what you need to eat back, and you need to eat in a caloric surplus. You need to eat more than you burn. So the very first thing you want to figure out is this number right here. Okay, so there's plenty of calculators, there's plenty of sources on the internet to figure out what this number is, but you want to make sure it's accurate, because my TDEE, my total daily energy expenditure, is about 36 to 3,700. And for a while, I was eating 3,500 thinking I was at maintenance, but when I stepped on the scale, I was losing weight. And so what I had to do was figure out the number that I'm actually at, right? Sometimes this number is incorrect based on the data you put in, and sometimes it's just wrong. And so what you need to do is you need to weigh yourself on Monday, eat the same amount of calories as whatever this number says, your total daily energy expenditure, and then see if your weight actually stays the same, if it goes up, if it goes down, because depending on that, that is what your actual number is, right? So if you were, say, let's at 3,500, like myself, what I thought I was, like what this says, but then I eat 3,500 and I lose weight, that means mine is probably higher. Okay, so you need to look out for that first and foremost. So once you find your actual number, so step on the scale on Monday, eat the same amount of foods, and if you're the same, then you're good. If you're not the same, then you're not good, right? Then you need to adjust and figure it out from there. But it's really not that hard. It's just 1 week of trial and tribulation, and then you got it figured out, okay? So from there, based on that, you want to eat in a caloric surplus of 500 plus calories, okay? And a lot of you guys might be saying, oh, I know this, I don't need to do this, I don't need this information, but you don't actually do it, right? If you're watching this video and you're struggling with it, but you know this information, why aren't you doing it? What is the barrier, right? What are you not doing? And what I was not doing was tracking. I was not tracking my meals, okay? That is the end all be all if you want to actually be able to see the scale move up, right? You can't break the laws of physics. If you are eating in a caloric surplus of 500 over your actual TDEE, you are going to gain weight. It is a fact, right? You're going to gain about a half a pound or 1 pound a week, depending on how much of a caloric surplus you are in. Okay, you can't break the laws of physics, but what you can do is you can start tracking your meals, right? For the first 2, 3 years in the gym, I wasn't tracking my meals. I was just eating what I thought was actually the right amount, but it wasn't. And then I would take days off when I didn't eat the right amount, didn't eat the right things, and next thing you know, I'm slacking, I'm not putting up the same weight, and voila, there you go. That's the reason why I was struggling. A lot of it because I wasn't tracking, and I also wasn't eating the right foods, right? When you're tracking and you know exactly how much you need to eat, then it's on you to get there, right? It's on you. You just have to put in the work and do the thing. So once you figure this out, that you need to be at a certain amount of calories, right? For me, I'm at 3,600. So the amount that I need to eat is 4,100 every day to bulk up. If I wanted to put on a pound a week, that's what I would eat every single day to get to that goal. Okay, so figure out what that number is for you, and then figure out your target calories, right? And a lot of people, once they figure out their target calories, This is where they go wrong. They think, okay, I have this number. I can eat any type of food to get to that number because I'm going to put on weight and I'm going to look good. Wrong, right? What you eat, right, is going to what you eat is going to determine how you look, how you feel, your mood, your energy, how much muscle you're going to gain, your testosterone levels, how much fat you're going to burn. All of these things are derived from the foods you eat. So if you think, okay, I need to hit this number and I can do anything to get there, you are wrong and you are mistaken. And that's where I was wrong. For so long, I would eat the diet of the classic bodybuilding protein shakes, protein bars, chicken, rice, broccoli, anything to get to my numbers and to my macros. But what I wasn't taking into account was the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, my testosterone levels, my energy levels, how I was going to look, how I was going to feel every single day. And that is when I did start to take those things into account, when my body actually transformed and changed like it was overnight. Okay. So yes, you want to hit whatever this number is, the 500 plus, right? You need to bulk up. You need to put on weight if you are a skinny guy and you want to look more aesthetic. You need to have a little bit of muscle and a little bit of stature and a little bit more of a presence. Okay. So after you figure out this number, don't go thinking I can eat whatever I want. Wrong. What you should eat are these foods right here, which are going to get you those micronutrients, get you the vitamins, and get you the minerals that your body needs to function at its highest rate. Okay. So what this is going to be is ground beef, 80-20 if you are bulking, right? 80-20 is the best to eat if you're bulking. You want to eat extra large eggs. Again, this is for if you are bulking. Jasmine rice, avocados, fruit, and raw honey. Avocado is kind of a fruit, so just leave that there. These are all the foods that I ate to go from 165 to 193 in a year, right? And that is the exact amount of weight you want to gain for a year, right? You want to put on about a half a pound every single week in order to get to a healthy weight, okay? So that's what I did, and I did it eating these foods. And once I started eating these foods, my lifts went up, my ability to build muscle went up, my ability to burn fat went up. I stayed lean the entire time, right? I'm 189 right now. I'm not that far off from the 193, and I'm still lean. I'm still shredded. Even when I was 193, I was still pretty lean and still pretty shredded, right? So you want to eat these foods because these foods are going to cause you to increase your testosterone levels. And the reason why is because your body needs a certain amount of amino acids, vitamins, and minerals, right? There are 11 amino acids, essential amino acids, and then 9 essential vitamins that your body cannot produce on its own. It can produce some amino acids and some vitamins and some minerals on its own, but some need to come from diet. And this is where they should be coming from, these foods right here. And if you eat the classic bodybuilding protein shake, chicken, broccoli, rice diet, you are not getting those micronutrients, you're not getting the vitamins, and you are not getting the minerals your body actually needs to function at its highest peak. So what you want to do is start eating these foods. Once I changed what I was intaking into my body, that is when my body changed, right? And so if you want to actually have that change and have that transformation, eat these foods right here. And I can tell you right now, for me to maintain at 3,600 calories, all I need to eat is 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 80-20 every day, 10 extra large eggs, 1 cup of jasmine rice, 2 to 3 pieces of fruit, 1 avocado, a little bit of raw honey before my workouts, and boom, I'm right at my maintenance. And for a lot of you guys, that is going to be over your maintenance, right? That is going to be in that caloric surplus. And you are going to get the testosterone levels, you're going to get the energy, you're going to get the mood, you're going to get your best feeling and higher testosterone from eating these foods. Diet makes up of so much. And ultimately, when it comes to diet, the taste always goes away, but the result does not, right? Whatever you eat, whether it's the greatest thing ever, the worst thing ever, it is going to go away. That taste is going to deplete. It's going to be gone, right? 10, 5, right after you eat, it's going to be gone, right? And so you might as well, when you're eating, get food that is going to give you a result that is going to last forever. That is going to be something you are proud of. So you might as well be eating these foods, which don't even taste bad in the first place, so you can increase your testosterone levels, get the result you want, start building muscle, start burning fat, and starting to look like the man that you actually want to be. It all starts with diet, okay? Diet makes up of 50% of this whole equation, right? It's all important. It's all 100% important, but diet is the thing that you need to take away and start changing today. Pillar number 2 is going to be training. Again, it is all 100% important, But diet and lifestyle, I think, are more important than training, because when I changed those two variables, my training really has stayed the same. Everything changed for me. I started to be high test. I started to build muscle, started to burn fat, feel and look my best, get amazing sleep. Everything was just so much better after I changed these two things, right? Those were the variables I changed. I didn't change my training. My training's always been pretty consistent, but one thing I was doing in the start, and that you need to watch out for if you are training, the two mistakes that I was making, I was overtraining and ego lifting at the start, right? And this is just a common thing for guys, right? At the start, they want to lift the most amount of weight. They want to be in the gym all the time. They want to see the gains. They want to get better. And there is nothing wrong with that. But sometimes that wanting and that needing to get bigger and to look better ends up hurting you because you do too much, right? You're in the gym too much, you're overtraining, and then additionally, you're ego lifting, right? When you're in the gym, your muscles do not care about the weight that you're doing. Ultimately, your muscles care about the stretch, the strain, and how much pressure you're putting on it so it forces it to grow, right? A lot of guys you see in the gym who are big, who are jacked, they actually know how to lift. Their form is great, right? They go down super slow on the eccentric, they explode on the concentric, and they actually know how to lift. And then you see some guys who don't look great and they're in the gym and they don't know what they're doing. They're going super fast, they're doing their weight wrong, they're doing the wrong things, and ultimately they get the wrong result. Okay, so these were the two things that I was doing: overtraining and ego lifting, right? You don't need to be in the gym lifting heavy weights every single day, right? You should be lifting about 5 times a week, right? The two splits that I would recommend for you guys is to do 5 times a week and hit each muscle group 2 times a week, or do a 3 days on, 1 day off, right? That's a great split too. And honestly, I want to change to that split, but right now with, just the current life setup, 5 days a week, 2 times a week is great too. Okay. So overtraining and ego lifting was a super big problem for me because I wanted to look better and I wanted to do it quickly. Right. But that wanting ended up hurting me in the long run. Okay. So once I stopped over training and ego lifting, that is also when I started to see more results, because your body, it doesn't grow in the gym. In the gym, it breaks down. Your muscles break down, and outside of the gym, when you're resting, when you're recovering, when you're eating, that is when your muscles grow. Okay. So if you want your muscles to grow even faster and even better, focus on diet, focus on lifestyle, focus on rest and recovery so you can so you can come back looking stronger, looking better, and feeling your best. Okay. But overtraining and ego lifting is going to hurt you, right? You don't need to be trying to impress people who do not care about you. When you're in the gym, focus on the form, focus on the stretch, focus on the eccentric going down slowly, and then focus on exploding on the concentric, right? Something they teach us in the certified personal training program is that lift, you should never bring up the weight until you have the form down, until you have it down at a certain weight that is comfortable, right? So don't start trying to lift this heavy ass weight until you can control the weight and so you can actually feel the muscles grow. Okay. So the next thing that, speaking of muscles grow, is that a lot of people, they go into the gym and they do big compound movements, right? Which I'm not hating against. I do compound movements too, right? I do bench press, I do squat, I don't do deadlift because fuck that. But I do those things. But after those things, I do all isolation and stretching movements. Okay. That is what you're going to have to do if you want to look more aesthetic. You have to focus on movements that are going to isolate and stretch the muscle. Okay. And then if you want to look aesthetic, you have to focus on certain muscle groups that are actually aesthetic. Going into the gym and trying to lift as much weight as humanly possible, like doing bench press, doing deadlift, doing squat, but you're not lifting aesthetically at all, you're not going to see the results you want to see. And you're going to look like those guys who can lift so much weight, but you don't want to look anything like them because they look fat, they look out of shape. And you want to actually look aesthetic. You want to look healthy. You want to live a long, healthy, happy life. And you do that through looking aesthetic and building a little bit of muscle and having a little bit more presence. Okay. So how you look more aesthetic is through isolating and stretching movements. This is how you look more aesthetic. Okay. And then focusing on these muscle groups: upper chest, wide back, shoulders. Oh, let me finish that. Shoulders, arms, abs, and hitting legs 2 times a week. Okay. These are all the muscle groups you should be doing every single week to actually look more aesthetic, right? If you're only going to the gym doing heavy compound movements, you are not going to look aesthetic. You are going to look like the guys who go to the gym but don't look like they actually go to the gym. So, if you want to look more aesthetic, if you want to look better, focusing on these muscle groups, focusing on isolating and stretching movements, things like incline dumbbell bench press, things like lateral cable raises, things like one arm isolated cable row like this, things like pull-ups, things like uh, lying, alternating dumbbell curl. These are all isolating and stretching movements that are actually going to force the muscle to break down and grow. Hitting specific isolated muscles that are the aesthetic muscles is how you look more aesthetic, okay? So that's what you want to focus on. And then again, hitting legs twice a week too, right? A lot of guys, they skip legs, and that is why they are low test, right? Legs are the biggest muscle groups in your body, and they force your endocrine system to work overtime, which forces your body to produce more testosterone. So if you want to build your testosterone levels, hit legs 2 times a week, hit these muscle groups, you'll look more aesthetic, you'll look better, you'll be high test. I went over some isolating groups, some muscles that you can do, some exercises that you can do. But if you actually want a one-on-one program to build out custom exercises for you to look more aesthetic, DM me the word bulk on Instagram, Tyler James Fit, and I will get you right. Okay, so start doing these isolating and stretching movements. Cut out the overtraining, cut out the ego lifting, focus on slow eccentric, exploding on the concentric, so you can actually get the muscle gain that you want, so you can actually break the muscle down. The third and final pillar is going to be lifestyle. A lot of people neglect lifestyle and they think, oh, I'm in the gym 6, 7 days a week. I'm eating the right foods. I can go out, I can drink, I can go out, I can party, I can get bad sleep. I don't need sunlight. I can stay on my phone all day. I can be overstimulated. These are all things a lot of people do in modern 2026 that end up shooting themselves in the foot, right? If you want to have higher testosterone so you can look more aesthetic, because when your testosterone is higher, you build muscle quicker and you burn fat quicker. You need to focus on lifestyle and have that locked in 100% completely. This is a lot of things that I did incorrectly when I was on my aesthetic muscle building journey. And a lot of it was because I was in college. I was drinking, I was going out, I was chasing pussy, right? I was just doing what every other college kid was doing, and it wasn't getting me anywhere, okay? So you have to change the lifestyle, right? If you want to be high test and you want to look your actual best every single day, change the lifestyle, okay? So a lot of you guys are drinking. That's the first thing. You got to cut out the bullshit. Got to cut out the drinking, the weed, the drugs, and just staying out super late, right? These are all things that are ultimately holding you back from being the man you want to be outside of just training, right? If you want to build a business, if you want to, you know, build a career or do anything of significance in your life, these things are all distractions, all of them. What do these actually get you, right? I mean, yes, I don't mind you guys like going out and having some fun with your friends, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're drinking, when you're smoking weed, when you're taking drugs, when you're out till 3, 4 a.m. trying to get some pussy, like you are just shooting yourself in the foot and you're shooting your physique in the foot, right? Your body starts producing hormones to go to bed at 10 p.m. And what you are doing when you stay out late, when you drink, when you smoke weed, when you take drugs, you are blocking those hormones. All of these things are estrogenic. And then additionally, you're not going to get deep sleep. You're not going to get REM sleep if you are doing these things. And guess what? When testosterone is produced, when you are on deep, when you are in REM sleep, okay? So if you want to be more aesthetic and be high test, get deep in REM sleep and stop doing things that are blocking your deep in REM sleep. Drinking, weed, drugs. These are all things blocking your deep in REM sleep, and they're not adding any value to your life. They're taking away. They're taking your money. They're taking your time. They're taking your finances. They're taking your energy. They're taking your spirit, and then they're also taking your testosterone levels. Why the fuck would you do that? It's stupid, right? When you actually think about it, the way the pros and cons out about it, you feel like you just want to get high. You feel like you just want to be a little drunk, want to be a little bit, want to stay out till 3 a.m. to get some feeling good pussy, right? You're just doing too much and you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? Again, it's not bad to go out here and there with your friends and have a good time, but you don't need to drink. You don't need to smoke weed. You don't need to take drugs. You don't need to stay out till 4 in the morning. You don't need to do any of that, right? If you're going to go out, be in bed by 12 p.m., right? So your body can actually get that deep and REM sleep. But your body starts producing hormones at 10 p.m. So that's when you actually should be going to bed, right? And if you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, that's the second thing. 8 hours of sleep, right? This is why a lot of guys are low test today, because they don't get enough sleep, right? They're on their phone literally more than they sleep. How is that? What is that? You're stupid. Don't stop doing that. Okay, so 8 hours of sleep every single night, and you want to be getting 2 to 4 hours of deep and REM sleep. This is when your body produces testosterone. So if you actually want to be high test, if you actually want to be aesthetic, if you actually want to put on muscle as a skinny guy, look, feel your best, start to go to bed at 10 p.m. and make sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep every single night. Be off your phone 30 minutes before bed. What I do every single night, I set an alarm 30 minutes before bed. So that tells me it's time to wind down. It's time to get off my phone. It's time to start reading so I can go to bed, right? Every single night, I stick to that alarm and I follow it, right? And this allows me to get 8 hours of sleep every single night, 2 to 4 hours of deep and REM sleep every single night, so I can look my best, feel my best, have energy, work every single hour of the day, and do something productive every single hour of the day. Okay? So if you want to take your life to the next level, if you want to take your physique to the next level, start doing these things. The next thing I'm going to say for you guys, and I'm just going to put a little asterisk over here, is 30 minutes of sunlight every single day. The reason why you want to get 30 minutes of sunlight every day is because sun and vitamin D is a pro hormone, right? Outside of deep and REM sleep and hitting legs, getting sunlight every single day, specifically on your chest and back, is one of the best things you can do to start increasing your testosterone levels and to start increasing your serotonin levels, your energy levels, your mood, how you look, how you feel. Everything is so much better when you are getting sunlight every single day, right? So many people make a big deal about it, and it is true. You should be getting sunlight. If anyone's telling you the sun is bad for you, they are fucking stupid. The sun literally creates life. Okay, so 30 minutes of sunlight every single day. And I would also say tan one time a week. One time a week tan. Okay, just for an hour or 2 hours, whatever. But get out into the sun more. A lot of you guys you're just in your phone, you're inside all day, you're overstimulated, your cortisol is high because of that. You're not getting the right amount of sleep, so your cortisol is even higher because of that. And then your cortisol is high, so your testosterone is going to be low. So lifestyle is super, super important and super, super slept on, because a lot of people, they just think, oh, I'm in the gym, I'm eating a diet, I can be on my phone all night, I don't need to sleep, I can go out and drink, I can smoke weed, I can take drugs, but you are killing your testosterone levels from doing those things, right? This is why I say diet and lifestyle are so important, and why people miss the mark with diet and lifestyle, because they aren't doing the right things, and their testosterone suffers because of it. And if your testosterone suffers, you're not going to be able to build muscle quicker, you're not going to look aesthetic, and you're not going to get to that physique and the way you feel and the energy and the mood and all of the great things that come from actually locking in and doing all of these things right here. Okay? And again, if you want someone to help you out, give you specific exercises, specific meal plan to actually increase your testosterone levels, to feel your best, to look your best, to take yourself to the next level, DM me the word bulk. Let me help you out. Let me train you. Let me take you to the next level. It is your man, Tyler James. Like, comment, subscribe. Please let me know your thoughts on the video below. I'll see you guys on the next one.